New Jersey Congressman Bill Pascrell summed it up today in a tweet. This week, virtually every single House Republican voted against cheaper gas, plentiful baby formula, and fighting domestic terrorism. Welcome to MOMocrats MOMochat, part of the DemCast family of podcasts. I'm Donna Schwartz Mills, here with Karoli and Aliza Worthington, both of crooksandliars.com. And oh goodness, what a May this has been, right?
Yes.
Welcome to the Great Replacement Party, right?
Oh God.
Party.
Oh
Welcome
man.
to the pro-life Republican Party.
Yeah.
They're anti-baby food, pro-terrorism.
So you're going to keep your fetus, but don't expect us to help you feed it.
Yeah, no feeding.
Or let's preserve all of the baby formula for the white, Americans who were born here.
Yeah, thanks, Matt Gaetz.
That was something.
Wasn't it?
Special.
Yeah. Wasn't it? But they love babies so much. They're so pro-life.
Yeah, well, the good news is they're not even like kidding around or pretending like they're being sane about this now. They're just being insane. And I mean, even like mainstream Republicans, and by that I mean voters, right, who aren't completely whacked, who don't pay attention and then just vote R because that's what they've done all their lives, are starting to wake up and pay attention. And I mean, they like don't even want abortion taken away, and all the crazies that they're doing now. Oh, and by the way, did I mention that CPAC is being held in Hungary?
Or that Victor Orban was not joking, but boasting that he owns Tucker Carlson, and that, in America, we should be running Tucker's show 24/7.
Yeah, that's not a joke.
No, it's not a joke. He was serious.
But wait, so Karoli, that's the truth where CPAC is actually happening in Hungary?
Yes.
So all those damn Republicans are flying to Hungary.
Some are appearing via video. So it's just insane. It's now, I mean, I say insane, but what I really mean to say is that they're like working on a global conservative cabal to basically enslave all of us.
And that's been in the works for years, like when Bannon, had his monastery or whatever in Italy, and they've been we now know that Putin's been a part of the Republican Party for at least 20 years.
Yeah.
Right.
And a key part, not just hi Republicans, I'm friendly with you, but Republicans do my bidding kind of part of
the NRA.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I find it terrifying that there is a CPAC being held in Hungary after they held CPAC in Brazil last year.
Yeah.
Right. And it was the Bolsonaro down there was bragging about having it down there. So, so I mean, you can see what's happening here, and it's pretty terrifying. I mean, to me, it just proves that no Republican should be reelected to office. No Republican should be elected to office. They should be all tossed out just because they're, anti-American white supremacists. I mean, what else can you call them?
There are no good Republicans in office. I can't even say the moderate ones are worth being in office. I can't even say that.
Well, the only one worth her salt, and she's not perfect because she doesn't believe in voting rights, is Liz Cheney. Yeah. Because at least after the Buffalo massacre, she came out and condemned it and condemned white nationalism.
Right.
Yeah.
And she's the only one who used that language and called it out for what it was. And I have to give her credit for that.
Yeah.
I'll give her credit for that. But I mean,
But like we're giving her credit for doing the bare minimum.
But I know, but
I'm not saying we shouldn't give her credit for doing the bare minimum, but I would like to identify that. That's all.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to be I don't want to be part of moving that Overton window. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
Right.
So I'm not saying we shouldn't like identify it and make note of it and give her that credit when nobody else is doing it. She's already shown herself to be someone who's a person of conviction and strength.
Yeah.
And I do give her credit for that in the face of all she has to lose and what she's surrounded by in her caucus.
Yeah.
Right.
If they even let her in the caucus anymore.
We would not have the credibility of the January 6th committee would not be close to what it is.
Right. If it weren't for her and for Adam Kinzinger. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And even though the Republicans wash their hands of them and say they're not real Republicans, they are. They are.
And their constituents know it too. I mean,
yeah. Well, I don't know what their constituents know because they're, the Republicans are crazy.
They are. I mean, that's as succinct a way to put it as they're crazy, but they're not. I mean, so they believe they're zealots is what they are.
Crazy like a fox. I mean,
they want this is all aimed at garnering power to subjugate people and essentially, in my opinion, elevate white men over everybody.
Well, that's obvious. White Christian.
When you said garnering power, it just made, I'm like, there's all these things are converging into one for me because we're talking about how crazy they are and we're talking about garnering power. And I can't help, I just came from Planned Parenthood today and the latest crazy thing is that dead fetuses are being burned to power street lamps.
Yeah,
so when you said in Washington D.C. power, my head went in the. I'm sorry, I know you were making a serious point. I get and you're correct. That point is correct, but just to crystallize, all of those things just came to a head when you said that.
And it's in Washington D.C. that they're burning fetuses to power street lamps.
Apparently, that's our street lamps.
Somebody actually said that on the record in a congressional hearing.
In Congress. It's in the Congress.
Anybody that missed that is what we are referring to. No, there are no fetuses being burned.
No, of course there aren't. But I mean, this is the latest crazy.
But they make this shit up and then people believe it. You know what I mean? And it goes with the whole. And by the way, can we just establish at the outset here that every accusation they make is a confession? Okay, it's like that. What they throw at us is what they're actually doing. So now, I mean, they may not be burning fetuses, but yeah. But I mean, when they accuse of child abuse, when they accuse of, they're stealing them. Yeah. I mean, they're trafficking children from Ukraine. I mean, these are things that are happening. The child trafficking is real.
These are the people who talk about domestic supply of infants.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. I can't get over that
same people who aren't interested in the actual domestic supply of infants that exist in our own foster homes and our own orphanages that exist in America. I mean, there are babies and children that could use homes.
Yes, there are.
Yeah. And formula. I mean, this week has just boggled my mind with regard to the fact that they want to make a big deal out of the fact that there's a baby formula shortage. So we've identified why there's one.
Yes.
And now Biden, and by the way, Trump has something to do with that because the new NAFTA causes limits the importation so we might have gotten more from Canada, for example, but no, and everything. And then they complain and refuse to vote for funding to make sure that poor mothers get baby formula.
Right.
This is after they've been forced to give birth.
That the money was going to the FDA to buy the formula. And that's their excuse for not voting for it. They had their own bill, which didn't do as much. You know?
That's their
complaint?
excuse.
What was their excuse?
Their excuse is that the bill that passed, that the Democrats put up,
hey,
it wasn't bipartisan. They just sprung the bill on them. Well, you can't work with these guys, so you can't do anything bipartisan.
Yeah,
right.
B, the method by which we would be increasing the formula supply was to give funds to the FDA to take care of it, because that is an existing channel that can be used to take care of it, because the FDA needs to certify that whatever is there is safe.
Got it.
So
they
also
didn't want the baby formula to be safe.
And they didn't want it going to brown people and black people.
Right.
I mean, that was the other piece of that, right?
The WIC. Right.
What did they suggest?
White people, aren't. Yeah, as if white people aren't on WIC too and need the baby formula. I mean, it was, So that was their argument. They didn't like the fact that this extra baby formula was going to be, through WIC. Hardworking. Somebody actually said this. Hardworking Americans should get it first.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Babies should get it. If you truly...
Well, if your baby doesn't have a job, they don't deserve formula.
I'm laughing, but I mean...
No, again, that was me. That was me before, laughing at the,
But there were also the ones that were wondering why, well, if you can't get formula, why can't the mothers just produce more milk?
Okay.
These are the same idiots who have no idea how menstruation works, or birth control,
or urination,
or because
any of it.
Sorry. Because they don't believe in sex education in public schools or public schools. So we've got a whole generation of lawmakers who don't know a fucking thing. Oh, I did it first. We have to have
you did it again. We need a bell or something to ding whenever.
We need a bell or something. The first one that flares,
Okay.
What happened?
Oh, she dropped the first F-bomb of the podcast.
We need a big jar.
Yeah,
we need a jar, like a virtual jar that we can put little coins in.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, good Lord Almighty. That is just
pathetic is what it is. It's pathetic.
And regarding the breastfeeding thing, I have a friend whose family is part of a story that was told on the Today. It might just be on the Today website, but NBC. It's not just infants that need formula. There are older kids with feeding tubes that need formula. Yes. And my friend has a child, a teenager who is, has an NG tube, I think it's called. And she, that's how part of her autoimmune disorder is that it's extremely painful for her to swallow, and she was not getting enough nutrition, and she was having a lot of problems, and she's when they gave her this feeding tube that goes in through her nose, and it made it she started thriving. She started getting the nutrition she needed and all this stuff. And so the formula shortage isn't only affecting infants. And someone had the nerve to say to her, why don't you just breastfeed your kid? And she's like, she's 16.
I'm sorry to laugh. I am.
But that's people think.
Jesus. Save me. Give me strength.
I know, exactly. But people think that
you can turn it
I'll just start lactating again. Number one. And number two, she's fucking 16. People are so ignorant. They just assume that they're they don't understand that there is a breadth of people.
They don't think beyond their own nose. They don't think about anything but themselves. So they can't imagine that there'd be other reasons why something would be needed.
Same people that'll shame people for breastfeeding in public, by the way.
Oh, of course.
Right.
Yes.
The same people that'll tell you to cover up or call, bring over the mall cop if you're sitting on a bench breastfeeding.
Right.
And now they're
Oh,
like,
no.
why don't you just breastfeed? As if it doesn't remotely involve any kind of sacrifice.
I mean,
well, as if you can
even people who breastfeed use
emulate-
formula.
Yeah.
That too.
I just can't. I'm sorry, you were going to say something, Donna, and I interrupted you.
No, I was,
I mean, this conversation, it's just so bizarre to me. It's just bizarre that we're even, and this is, again, I have to emphasize that these same people are the ones that say, the day in a minute that an egg is fertilized, it's a human being, and you have to worship the womb at the expense of the woman and all the rest of it, and then but I think it was Digby tweeted yesterday something about, hey, fetus, enjoy it while you can, because you got 9 months and then you're screwed.
Ain't that the truth?
Dating a fertilized egg as a human being. This criminalizes miscarriages, which happen all the time. People will not be able to, these people who want babies so badly won't be able to do IVF.
Right. That's a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
I mean, I know women who went through hell at, more than one IVF procedure to have their kids. And it's just utterly wrong to criminalize that. So,
and it's impossible to separate the religious aspect from this.
True. No, you can't.
I won't let them get away with separating the religious aspect from this.
Well, you can't, especially when you've got candidates giving interviews to militant Catholic publications. I mean, they call themselves militant Catholics, and saying that, there should be no contraception, there should be no gay marriage, sex should only be between a married man and a woman, period.
Well,
running for office on that as a platform.
Not only that, but I mean, when you say things like it should be this way, well, that's nice, in your utopia, that maybe should be, but it's not. It isn't how it is. And there's so many books out there from people that literally were in anguish for years over this kind of strict militant religious dogma,
What kills me is that we were fighting this 50 years ago and thought we put it to bed.
Yeah, it's like we've gotten nowhere.
Why are we still having to deal with this?
I know.
It really is. It's so disheartening. It really does feel like we've gotten absolutely nowhere.
Well, I mean, that's what they want.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, they want us to be dispirited and to, surrender. So that makes me all the more determined not to do that. But I understand. I do understand. But
I mean, it's not going to affect my actions, and it's not going to it's not going to make me less of an activist.
Not you, but not everybody. Not everybody is as clued in or as paying attention the same way as you guys are.
I'm not everybody is as privileged as I am either, and the rights that are being taken away aren't affecting me as much as they're depressing me. They're not affecting me as much. I'm still going to be able to find a way to vote. I'm still going to be able to find a way to get an abortion if I need it. Not everybody can.
Right.
And so it's there are just moments when I just need to I just have to sit and let like the melancholy be there.
Yeah.
And, you know, and
And
then
then,
it,
and
you
then
know, and then
live
it, and
into
then
a
it,
day of
it
life.
you know, it moves through, and then I get up and I keep going because of the people who can't.
Right.
Right.
Right. And so we've got two branches now that
Yeah.
we can veer the conversation into. We
Mhm.
can talk about the Bands Off Our Body rallies that happened this last weekend as a response to what the Supreme Court is doing to our rights to privacy.
Mhm.
But at the same time, we could do the elections this year and the primaries that are ongoing and the ones that just occurred this week.
Right.
While we're talking about the Supreme Court, we probably should also talk about them gutting the SEC. Although that wasn't the Supreme Court, that was the Fifth Court of Appeals, which is also full of crazies.
Yeah. Okay.
I
So
know nothing about that, so I would like to learn.
okay. Well, I can help with that.
Okay.
But let's talk about. I just like to offer a silver lining to all of this, which is there are more people now keyed into the idea of expanding the court. This is becoming a thing because women,
Yes,
and as I
ma'am.
said when we first started this, people don't want this. What's going on? Even people that vote Republican consistently don't want what's going on.
Yeah.
So I do think that there's an overreach going on here that's going to be batted back. With that said, we have to expand the court. We must expand the court,
Yes.
and to expand the court, we need to expand the Senate. So that's the, and that goes to the primaries. But
so do you want to talk about the primaries then, and then let's not
yeah,
forget
and
for
we'll
you
talk
to
about the
explain
SEC later.
to me?
Yeah,
I'll explain it
Like on
later.
live?
Yeah.
So the primaries have been interesting. This, Trump has a bunch of endorsed people. Some are winning, some aren't. The Republican running for governor in Pennsylvania is an absolute wingnut on the order of what we've been talking about.
Yes.
With regard to the authoritarian man who wants, white. He is terrifying. I mean, his master's thesis, Mastriano, his master's thesis was argued that the military should not be subject to civilian command.
Nice.
And that there was, we were on the way to basically a hellscape by 2018.
Yeah.
And the thing that he described, I mean, he is literally the scariest candidate for governor I have ever seen in my life.
And on top of that, if he wins, he's in control of the election machinery. And he has said that he will throw out the votes if Democrats win elections.
In Pennsylvania, the Secretary of State is appointed by the governor.
Yeah.
So if he wins, then he'll make sure that
I immediately
no Democrat there'll be no more Democratic senators from Pennsylvania.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I immediately set up a recurring donation to Josh Shapiro.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm writing that down.
Is he the AG there now? He's the
and he's really good. I mean, he's a really good candidate, and he's a really good Democrat, and he's definitely would be a great, governor. So he would be a better governor than the one they've got right now, who's not bad.
Right.
And
then in the Senate race over there, it looked like the wing nuttiest of all of them might overtake the two Trumpy ones, but she's third, and it's neck and neck between the guy Trump endorsed and the guy whose wife worked in the Trump administration.
Right.
And you know what? There's going to be a recount, and they have to, they're busy counting the votes, and Trump is the only one who's.
Trump doesn't like that.
He's the
Trump's
only
not
one
into vote counting.
That it's rigged.
Right.
Trump told us just to go ahead and declare victory.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. Right.
Because that's
so. Yeah, I mean, it's really close between them. Kathy Barnett didn't do anything. I mean, for all the talk about her surging in the end and everything. She kept her 25% or whatever it was of the wing nuts, and that was it.
Yeah.
So
I'm not sorry.
I don't know where that surge supposedly was.
She'll be back. This was.
Oh yeah, she'll try again.
She got all this attention. She's going to be back, and
sure she will.
She will be more formidable the next time.
Yeah, I don't know when the fever is going to break on this, but here's the thing. I mean, she's a Black woman running on a Trumpy platform. And I'm sorry, but white men up in, upstate Pennsylvania or whatever are not going to vote for her. No matter how Trumpy and no matter how, they're just not going to.
No.
It's just like we saw with Hillary, right? Yeah. I mean, there's misogyny that goes just as deeper in the Republican Party as there was in the. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sorry to say that, but it's true.
No,
Speaking of Hillary, Fox News is fixating on her again today. So I wonder.
Oh, really?
I wonder if something else is.
Oh, well, Ginny Thomas. There's Ginny Thomas news.
Ginny Thomas news.
Yeah.
Why? We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Yeah. Oh, we must.
I'm not done with Pennsylvania because John.
No, let's keep talking about Pennsylvania.
John Fetterman will be the Democratic nominee.
Yeah.
For Senate.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And God willing, the pacemaker corrects the issue that caused the stroke that he had on Friday.
Can I just say a few things about that, because I've been really pissed off about how that's been handled on our side of things.
I wanted to hear what you had to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so he had a stroke because he had AFib, and it caused a blood clot in his heart that went to his brain. He happened to luckily go to one of the best stroke centers in the country, and they immediately administered this drug called TPA, which essentially reverses the effects of a stroke if you get it within 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
And then they diagnosed where it came from. They realized it was AFib, and they're putting in a pacemaker to fix the AFib. These things happen to people all the time. Yeah. Right? I mean, my stroke was caused by a blockage in my carotid artery. It was the same kind of stroke that he had, but I didn't get TPA because I didn't go to a hospital. They were still calling it an anxiety attack 3 hours later.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't until 5 or 6 hours. I don't know. It was like 5 or 6 hours later that they finally did an MRI and went, oh, look, oops. Yeah, but by then it's too late. You can't get it. So a lot of the damage that was done could have been reversed. So when I see people like going crazy about his health or what, it just makes me a little bit stabby, because he's going to be fine.
Good.
He's going to be fine. They're going to put him on blood thinners. He's going to have, cholesterol medication. He's going to have all the things that he needs. He'll be better than he was before this.
And this is
he'll be fine.
Potential race to win.
Right.
We we don't want Oz or the other guy.
Right. We don't.
This is a seat we can take. This is a flippable seat.
I agree.
And he is a formidable candidate in Pennsylvania.
I hope
he is, but we have to acknowledge a couple of things. We have to acknowledge that he has some bridges to repair with the Black community, and to do that, he needs to be humble enough to say he was wrong. He shouldn't have done what he did. It was a reaction that he, in retrospect, he would not do again. I mean, he hasn't said those things. He needs to say those things.
He used to say those things, and it's
right.
Very frustrating for people in the Black community. He's shown a lot of he hasn't shown any respect to them at all.
No, he's been very good reaching out to the rural whites, and that's wonderful. But we can't win. We can't get the enthusiasm.
Yeah, he needs Philadelphia.
Unless you
exactly.
The Black community, and
he's not going to
have that bringing down the Josh Shapiro campaign either.
Right.
Right. So he needs to do these things.
Step up. He needs to step up and own it, and just be a grown up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Agree.
And stop acting like he keeps making excuses for it. And again, for the life of me, I will never understand why people view apologizing and learning as a weakness. I will never understand that. But it is, I mean,
I don't understand it either. I don't understand it, but it's, the right wing noise machine, right? That you have to be strong and you
it's on
can't
our side
apologize
too.
for anything, and you have to, you have to be
But
firm. And
here's this alleged progressive who won't apologize either for pulling a gun on a black guy who was just jogging.
right.
So
No, I'm
it's not,
totally not arguing with you on
yeah.
that.
No, I know you're not.
Yeah.
You're not. But it's we
But it's the same mentality with regard to
yes.
the not
Absolutely,
apologizing, not
yeah.
learning. It's like, if I apologize, that's some sign of weakness that so I agree. I
Yeah,
hope
so
that
it's I think as much as it's a Republican thing, I think it's also often a male thing.
a man thing. Yeah.
It's so I mean maybe it's that, but whatever. I just hope for the sake of
Hashtag not
for the
all
sake
men.
Right.
for the sake of for the sake of a Senate seat, so that we can oh
Yeah, I know.
apologize, build some bridges, go. Wear a suit when you go to a black church.
Yes.
Show some respect.
Be respectful,
Okay,
Right.
then I'm gonna be quiet now, and I will support him, and I will send him money and all that stuff. I don't want to get his texts. I don't want to get his literature, but
I don't want to get all that either.
And I'm going to support the Democratic candidate. I am. I'm going to support him, even though I don't like him. I'm going to support him, and I'm going to push people like me to support him.
I know whether it was Lamb or Kenyatta or Fetterman.
Yes, whoever it is.
Race and
right. It is key, and it is
critical. No matter who won,
Yep. But this is we don't have the luxury of being like, oh, I'm going to hold my nose and vote, or oh, I'm not going to vote. This is not that I can vote in Pennsylvania, but I'll send him money. That's a critical race.
Yeah, I agree.
Democracy itself is on the line.
Yes.
Yep.
The fascists think they can take over, and if they win this, you can say goodbye to just about
everything,
all of the rights that you currently enjoy.
Yep.
Yeah. As I hate to go back to the abortion issue, but
it's the canary in the coal mine.
It is. Yep. And as people have been pointing out, if you are criminalizing miscarriages and other things that happen only to women, and they become felons, these women lose the right to vote. And women tend to vote Democratic.
Yeah.
Yes. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, they do.
It's twisted.
I mean, there's method to their madness.
I cannot see it, but yeah, it's methodical.
It is. So, I mean, so we had these marches last weekend, or rallies, I guess they were. I would prefer a march, to be honest. And I was actually pretty.
It was a march, so I mean,
places were marches
on the city that it was happening in.
Right. Well, they organized them in what, 7 days, something like that. Yeah. So
it was very fast.
I mean, to be able to organize anything that fast that involved a lot of people was impressive, right? I mean, and I guess there was over 1 million nationwide that participated. Yes. So, they were impressive marches. There was a lot of rage, and I just got an email basically saying this is the summer of rage, and I think that's true. I mean, I kind of hate to characterize it that way because I'm too nice and polite, and I don't rage, I just get angry, right? And well, this raging is happening. So
it's better than calling it the summer long PMS episode.
Oh well, I'm sure that
that's what they're gonna call it.
They're gonna call it that, or menopause, whatever. When I'm sure that all the sexists will come up with some catchy. Look at them out there with their hot flashes.
I am grateful that the Women's March people, they had the existing infrastructure from having staged these in all the cities before. They've had 5 years experience with this now.
Yeah.
And we've got, or 6 years experience with this now. And we've got, they're in partnership with Move On and Planned Parenthood and all the other organizations. And I say hooray, and we will be Karoli and I were out in Los Angeles together on Saturday.
Yes, we were. Yeah. And it was hot. I want to tell you right now, it was freaking hot.
We were there. but my daughter was also there. Her cousin was there. And, there were people that we ran into, that we had not coordinated with, that we knew, we were seeing things online. It was a very good turnout in Los Angeles.
It was.
And, we're angry. I mean, my husband came too. There were a lot of men.
Yep.
And this is what we need. We need this kind of a coalition.
And we need to have the bodies in the streets. I mean, I don't think we get heard unless we're out in mass, basically, demanding our rights.
And we have to be out in mass, just really out in mass, because the media does not pay any attention to us.
Yeah.
We're nonviolent. So the fact that we do not have guns and we're not threatening people, they don't pay attention to us.
Yeah,
they don't even pay. I mean, the Buffalo massacre is out of the news cycle already.
Yeah. Somebody else pointed out on Twitter that took less time than Will
Smith smack. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And we should talk about that because, that occurred while we were out at the rally, and the pure hatred that this self-radicalized 18-year-old
self-radicalized. He had help.
Yeah.
Well, his parents, I don't think. I mean, he hid it all from them. They're both civil servants. His
they
father,
did give him a gun for his birthday, though.
Gave him a shotgun for his 16th birthday.
Yeah.
But they had no idea about all the ammo he was buying. He was lying through his teeth to them.
But that's what I mean.
That union rep.
Yeah.
I mean, he's radicalized online.
Yeah.
Honestly. And there's a lot of that goes on. And he, apparently had a tendency toward that, I guess. That there's some hole that filled for him. Yeah. And it was a hole of hate. And he went out and, used that hate.
Tell me if I have my facts wrong, but wasn't he just within a week or two earlier, hadn't he decapitated a cat?
Oh, I didn't hear that.
His mother gave him a box to go bury it in.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Feral cat that he claimed was attacking their pet cat.
Okay.
And
that's a horrifying not good
story. No, it's horrifying.
Yeah. And then also he had threatened, didn't he threaten a year ago? Didn't he threaten a fellow classmate?
And then he said that they said he was asked when he was a high school senior what his plans were after he graduated, and he wrote down murder-suicide. And they rightfully alerted the authorities, and he spent an overnight evaluation in a mental facility. And they concluded that, when he was saying that he was just joking, that he was just joking, that they had no reason to hold him.
Right.
So, I mean, at that point, the parents didn't take the gun away. Like, I don't know. I just feel like, maybe
he didn't use the gun that they bought him.
Right. That's true. He didn't.
He did not use. That was a shotgun for hunting.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to imagine, though, that there weren't signs of something there and I could see where maybe they willfully ignored those signs. I mean, where they, in other words, they weren't necessarily encouraging him, but they were sort of like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm not going to,
Right. Just typical teenage angst
confront
stuff.
it.
Well, they're two full-time working parents.
Yeah, I'm not laying blame on them, but I'm just saying I don't believe there were zero red flags either, or that there weren't, things that they might have
I honestly,
that even the average, not necessarily incredibly highly educated person might have said, whoa, this might be, I don't know. Maybe not.
we don't know enough,
We
and
don't
frankly,
know.
I don't want this man, because I'm not going to call him a kid.
No,
I
he's
don't
not.
want this
He's an adult.
man
Yeah.
to have the attention he craves.
Right. I don't want him to have that either, but I
want to
think,
understand, but I don't want him to have the attention he craves.
I think the part that we have to pay attention to is that he's not the only one. Right. I mean, the thing that really chilled me was that he was posting online his plans. Yes. Like, and this was over a period of time, and nobody raised, I mean, he basically got an audience out of that. It's like somebody like live blogging how they're going to murder people, and he's actually getting an audience out of that. And then they're logging on to a chat room while he's doing it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's an audience. I mean, there's something not right. We're past free speech here.
Yeah.
Okay. We're past that. There's something that has to happen with regard to these online venues. You can't have these people plotting to murder other people in this room. And it wasn't just him. There was also a mass shooting in Laguna Hills. And it was a Taiwanese church.
Yes.
And that turns out the guy that did that is 68 years old, and he was rooming with the white supremacist. And it also was a hate crime against the elders of that church.
Right.
So, I mean, at some point, we have to say that we need to deal with this on a law enforcement basis. And the problem that I worry about is I feel like the white supremacists are inside law
enforcement.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And that we have more guns than citizens.
Yeah.
In the United States.
Yeah.
That's a gun problem.
Yeah, it is. It's a gun problem, and it's a society problem. And I mean, it's just horrifying to me that somebody went into a store to intentionally kill Black people.
Yeah.
Or to a church to intentionally kill Taiwanese people. Well, I mean, it's
back to Buffalo. I mean, the Taiwanese church, that one did not feel as terrifying as the Buffalo one to me, for the main reason that the killer actually took care in selecting that as his target, because he wanted to make the Black people feel unsafe no matter what they were doing.
You're talking about Buffalo now, not the Taiwanese.
Yeah, right. She's saying that's the one that bothered her more.
Yeah.
He picked the community because he looked at the demographics and said there's the most Black people in the state in this community. He cased the place. He found more than
he went to that grocery store.
He went to that grocery store, and he was stopped by that security guard that he ended up killing on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Asking him what you were doing here. And the security guard had a gun. He just wasn't wearing body armor.
Right.
The killer
got
body armor.
Yeah.
The killer briefly thought about shooting up a synagogue. Not a synagogue, but a Jewish preschool.
Preschool, even.
Yeah, where children are.
About shooting children, so he went to the Black place because, his ideology is that, the Jews are causing the replacement theory. So
yes.
Okay, so he wanted to kill. What turned him away from the fun of killing Jewish children now?
there actually was some humanity left in him, I guess. He did
Oh, he
not
decided,
grow
so
up
he
without
didn't like the
killing
idea of killing
children.
children.
Sandy Hook, and although I'm sure he got the idea for the Jewish children from the shooting by my house,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
happened 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Or Pittsburgh.
He studied all the people prior to that and lifted things they said in his manifesto that he
Right.
wrote, because
Well,
that's
he basically plagiarized all
Yeah.
of the old stuff into his, and maybe there was one or two original pages, but the rest of it was all plagiarized, and it was, and I, the thing about, now that we've hit the word replacement theory, it's worth remembering or talking about the fact that this is mainstream Republican.
now
This is not on the fringe. This is not, I mean, when they were polled, like over half of Republicans believe in replacement theory,
right.
probably thanks to Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's orthodoxy now in the Republican Party, and they unabashedly and unashamedly promote it.
And Aliza, you and I have targets on our back, just as if we were living in Germany in the 1930s.
Yeah, it's fun.
No.
Neat fun. Yeah.
And it's sick, is what it is.
Yes.
It's sick, and I mean, I follow a lot of people that actually track extremists. I mean, it's part of our job. We have to, look at that. And there are just days where it's just too hard to, and you have to face it. But I don't know. It just, like, the ways people can be horrible to other people.
Makes your heart hurt, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, let me tell you a little the way my day ended in front of Planned Parenthood today. And that was a patient who needed an ambulance. And you can imagine how dizzy with glee those forced birthers get when an ambulance shows up at Planned Parenthood.
I'm sure.
And they whip out their phones and they try to record the patient on the stretcher.
God.
So our job as escorts at that moment, we grabbed vests and we tried to block their cameras with our hands and with vests and with things, just try to run interference. And these are, and they get very physical and very aggressive and very loud, and they say terrible, terrible things to us and to the patient as they're lying on a stretcher being wheeled out into an ambulance. They have no humanity. They have no humanity. And this is a person who's at their most vulnerable, and they are recording them with no thought to the patient's, pain, privacy. They for any reason, just for their propaganda tool, so they can, lie about what Planned Parenthood does, which is actually take care of their patients. And, if a patient comes in and needs an ambulance, they call an ambulance because they're not a hospital.
Right.
And, so this is what happens. And it's just, I mean, and the patient wasn't even there for an abortion. It had nothing to do with abortion care.
Right.
It was a completely different thing, but it doesn't matter to them. And it's none of their business.
Right.
But it doesn't matter. It just didn't even happen to have to do with that.
But they assumed it did. And so then she became a non-person.
They assume everything is that. And, this is how they are.
Yeah. Well, when they look, they have no humanity. They look at that patient and she has no humanity to them.
They're screaming at her. They're screaming at her. This is what you get. This is what you get. And it's awful. It's just awful. And
I don't see how you do it.
You feel like you're playing basketball. You feel like you're on a court, trying to block.
Yeah.
It's insanity. But that,
But they don't have to keep their distance.
They don't have to keep their distance. They make fun of us for wearing masks when they're getting in our face.
Thank God you're wearing it.
Yeah.
Of course I'm wearing it. I'm still wearing the KN95s. I wear it sometimes I wear it double.
Yeah. And we have to worry about monkeypox now, too.
Oh, my God.
Although Karoli and I probably don't, because we got smallpox vaccines when we were young. I don't
know if I did or not.
I have to read about that now. But Karoli, I still want to hear about the SEC.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got the SEC and Ginny Thomas. We've got 10 minutes left.
So. I know we're in trouble.
Oh, my gosh. All right. So the SEC, I'm not going to summarize those particulars. I'm just going to tell you what happened, which is basically that the Fifth Circuit essentially said that they didn't have the authority to have their SEC court that they have that just deals with securities violations, that there was no authority in the Constitution for that, and therefore they couldn't have it. Well, the problem with that is that it essentially guts the administrative state as you know it. So what they've said is that the SEC cannot regulate securities transactions. That's what they said. And if you take that to its logical conclusion, then the IRS cannot regulate Treasury revenues.
No EPA, no SEC, no IRS.
So no regulation. So I don't have to pay taxes anymore?
Well, you're supposed to pay taxes, but you won't be able to know how to pay taxes. You won't be able to have a form to pay taxes because all of that is regulatory. Right. I mean, and you're not going to have Congress passing laws that says you have to file a 1040 in this format electronically. Right. I mean, that is what the IRS does with their regulations. They set all the procedures out. They set all the interpretations of what Congress passes as law. And that's true for every other agency, too. And in fact, Congress will say in some of their laws to that this agency will promulgate regulations so to accomplish this goal, whatever that is. I mean, that's common in law because the actual agency is going to come up with the methods and procedures for how that law is to be carried out and or enforced. And so this would just gut that. It would absolutely gut it.
It's just nuts.
Yeah. I mean, it would drown government in a bathtub.
Yeah. What they've been wanting to do for decades.
Right.
This is the ultimate, this is the culmination of McConnell's plan to pack the courts.
Yeah. Which is why we need to expand the court and we need to expand the Senate so that we can do that.
But this is the Fifth Circuit. We need to expand the Fifth Circuit.
So wait, so tell me where the Fifth Circuit covers.
Texas.
So, Texas, Louisiana. I mean, they're batshit crazy, okay. And that they and the right wing venue shops, they put these things through circuit courts that they know that they're going to be able to get that stuff through. So that's all part of what's happening here with that. So so that we have that to look forward to. We really must expand the court. No question about it.
Ginny Thomas.
Lightning round.
Ginny Thomas.
Okay.
And her emails, but her emails.
But like I said, every accusation is a confession. And here you have another one, right? So you have Ginny Thomas writing to emailing officials in Arizona, asking them to throw out, votes and elect a different slate of electors, fake electors, right? So that Trump can be elected, from Arizona, even though Biden won in Arizona. So, and this is, again, the spouse of a Supreme Court justice who is interfering in elections and also asking for unconstitutional acts like fake electors. That this is fraud, and she's encouraging and begging for it. And her husband is on the Supreme Court, and those two things don't jive, right? I mean,
perhaps a Supreme Court justice with ethics might recuse himself from any kind of election.
That's if we have.
Well, and then you have Clarence Thomas. No ethics there.
So,
but I mean,
the good news is we now know the DOJ really is actively investigating January 6th.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
They have requested that the January 6th committee share the evidence they've compiled. And one can only hope that Ginny Thomas is on their radar.
Oh, how could she not be? Like, I can't not give him credit for that.
Almost like all roads lead to Ginny Thomas.
Well, and so that's the thing that I really want to emphasize. Somebody said today on Twitter, and they're right, that there should be a RICO suit against the Council for National Policy and she was on the board of the Council for National Policy when all of this went down, because if you look at the different organizations that all converge at Council for National Policy and what they are doing with regard to all of this, right, that we've talked about, everything that we've talked about today, but specifically the election, right?
Yeah.
It all leads back. I mean, there is racketeering.
Yep.
It's absolutely a criminal enterprise, in my opinion.
Yep.
I'm not a lawyer, but I'm just saying, from a citizen standpoint, I'd probably go to jail if I'd done anything like that.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's what you get for not marrying a Supreme Court justice.
Yeah, come on, Karoli.
Damn.
You can't crime, Karoli. You can't.
Well,
you can't crime.
You know, love is love. You got to, you know, you can't pick who you love.
Oh man.
So anyway, I did it.
You did it.
I did it in the allotted time.
Yeah, that was very
good. Yes, that just came out like late this morning, right? That's brand new news. Although I mean, they've been crawling around Ginny Thomas for a long time. I mean, we knew she was in the crosshairs.
Well, the reporters have. Yeah. I don't know if anybody else is, but it's just nice to see her back in the news. Every day that we have Ginny Thomas in the news is a good day.
I think this is not going away for her.
No,
it's
not.
I
really think it's not.
I hope not.
And I, you know, it's.
I know. I pray that it gets so bad.
But I have faith in Merrick Garland. I have faith.
Well, all I'm going to say is today would be a good day for Clarence Thomas to retire.
Resign. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll let him retire as long as he does it today.
And on that note, on that happy note.
It is a happy note.
I think it's time to call it a day.
Right, I'm willing
okay.
To do that.
We'll be off next week for the Memorial Day holiday, but you can join.
Happy birthday.
Oh, that's right. Next Friday is my birthday.
That's right.
And today is Donna's birthday.
It is?
Fine.
Donna!
Join us in 2 weeks. MOMocrats.
I'm a terrible momocrat.
Or find us on your favorite podcast service such as iTunes, Google, and Amazon Music. And be sure to check our Facebook page for updates. This is Donna Schwartz Mills saying goodbye for the MOMocrats. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. MOMocrats Mama Chat is part of the DemCast family of podcasts.